and we are told that he was remarkably successful. Agrippa's term as aedile was considered the greatest in living memory, possibly the greatest ever. In 1 year, as a lowly aedile, he accomplished more than many of the consuls had over the preceding 30 years, and people never forgot it. While all of this was going on, Octavian was turning his eyes to the east. He set about deliberately and publicly worsening relations with Antony. He criticized Antony over the donations of Alexandria business, which was Antony's plan for a restructured Roman East, claiming that Antony had gone a little too Egyptian living over there with Cleopatra. Octavian publicly teased Antony over his failed campaign against Sparta, which was a little close to home. Antony publicly mused about Octavian's betrayal of their partner, Lepus, which was also a little close to home. Octavian then commissioned and distributed a pamphlet that claimed to prove with 100% certainty that Caesarion, Caesar's child by Cleopatra, was not his true son. Antony responded by saying that he had seen Caesar acknowledge the boy as his son with his own eyes. Then things got personal. Octavian called Antony a drunk. Antony called Octavian a gambling addict. Both accusations were true, by the way. Octavian shot back that the only reason Antony didn't like gambling was that he was cursed with an unlucky spirit, which is honestly a hilarious way to insult somebody. It was also a little more subtle than it might seem. One of the stories that Julius Caesar liked to tell about himself was that he was almost supernaturally lucky. Octavian was saying, "I have my father's luck, and you don't." Antony shot back, making fun of Octavian for marrying his wife Livia when she was pregnant with another man's child. Okay, that one's just straight up mean. At this point, Antony wrote to Octavian privately. In a miraculous turn of events, this letter was preserved in the Roman archives, and later Roman historians were able to reference it and pass its contents along to us. Disclaimer, I looked into it, and Antony's letter is written using the vulgar and low-class version of certain words, and so any faithful translation should be vulgar and low-class. A lot of translations don't do this. They use poetic or flowery language, but those translations are misleading, and the reason that they are misleading is that academics are a bunch of prudes. In the interest of accuracy, I'm going to use a few naughty words, and then in the interest of my own prudishness, I'm going to bleep them. This is Antony writing to Octavian. What's come over you? Is it that I'm f***ing the queen? But she isn't my wife, is she? It isn't as if it's something new, is it? Or has it actually been going on for 9 years now? What about you then? Is Livia the only woman you f***? Good luck to you if when you read this letter you haven't also f***ed Tertulla, or Tarantilla, or Rufula, or Salvia Tidsenia, or all of them. Does it really matter where and in whom you stick your I don't recall that part being included in the movie. By the end of the year 33 BCE, the well had been sufficiently poisoned. Octavian and Antony were no longer on speaking terms. They were in uncharted waters now. In 32 BCE, as part of a prearranged agreement, the two new consuls were to be Antony's men, but this deal had been worked out in a much happier time. By 32, people were after each other's throats. One of the first things introduced by the new consuls was legislation censuring Octavian for trying to provoke a war. A friendly tribune of the plebs vetoed the bill, but the message was sent. Antony's political allies were coming for Octavian. At the next Senate meeting, Octavian showed up flanked by veterans from the Illyricum campaign, who, observers noted, were doing a poor job at concealing the daggers hidden in their clothing. The assassination of Julius Caesar was still fresh in the minds of Rome's political elite, even after all these years. That evening, the two newly elected consuls fled the city of Rome and joined Antony out east. Approximately 1/3 of the Senate followed them. This was probably an unexpected setback for Octavian. Many